The wind scraped dry across the prairie, carrying the scent of pine smoke and iron. Eda Grant paused mid-step, her boot heel buried in cracked dirt, and stared at the water trough. Something red had pooled at the edge. Not rust, not mud. Blood. She didn't move closer. Not at first. The chickens had stopped clucking. The horses had gone quiet an hour ago. Even the flies that usually lingered near the porch lamp were gone. All that remained was silence, and a red smear at the wood lip of the trough. Whit stood behind her, his breath shallow. He was 15 and growing too fast for the times. She raised a hand without turning. Back inside. But, I said, inside. His footsteps crunched retreat. She kept her eyes on the blood. One slow step, another. Her palm hovered near the revolver tied under her duster. The sun cast no shadow beyond the barn, just a stretch of dead light baking the earth. Then she saw him. At first it looked like a pile of burlap sacks, twisted and motionless, part of the landscape. But a groan rolled from the heap, soft as wind brushing wheat. One leg bent wrong, shirt torn, soaked. His beard was black with dirt, face swollen. He lifted his head an inch and collapsed again. Eda didn't speak. She didn't offer a hand. She pulled a bucket from the porch, filled it halfway and placed it beside him. No more, no less. The man's cracked lips trembled before he dipped his head, slurping like a dying animal. His eyes never left hers. He didn't thank her. She didn't expect it. That night, Eda sat in her rocker on the porch, rifle across her knees. Whit watched from the window. No questions passed between them, not because there was trust, but because there wasn't. Inside the barn, the man lay on a bed of hay. Cleaned wounds, threaded stitches, a blanket stitched from her dead husband's old uniform. He hadn't given a name. Eda hadn't asked. When Whit brought out a second blanket, she stopped him with a glance. He's breathing. That's enough. The boy stood frozen, then dropped the cloth and turned back toward the cabin. The door closed without a slam. Just a click. By morning the sun broke wide and colorless. Eda rose early. She always did. The first thing she noticed wasn't the man's scent or the dog's absence. It was the footprints. Large, bare, fresh. They circled the corral once, crossed back to the water trough, then vanished at the tree line. She crouched, brushed the dirt. Beside one track, deep heel, heavy gait, no drag marks. Whoever made them wasn't wounded, wasn't alone. She looked toward the barn. He was still inside, still breathing. But his position had changed. He'd propped himself against a beam, cradling his side like a soldier guarding a wound he didn't want checked. "You sleep well?" she asked flatly. "I've had worse." His voice was gravel and smoke. "You walked?" His brow twitched. Wouldn't have made it far. She didn't respond, just turned and walked back toward the trough. At the base, something new, a scrap of cloth. Green, patterned, embroidered with what looked like teeth or thorns. It hadn't been there the day before. Whit joined her after breakfast, dragging a saddlebag twice his weight. "You still thinking he's harmless?" "No," she said. "I'm thinking he's waiting." "For what?" She didn't answer. The man, stranger, whatever he was, stayed quiet most of the day. He didn't speak unless spoken to, didn't eat unless offered. But every now and then, he stared at the tree line. Not in fear. In recognition. Eda saw it, same as she saw the twitch in his fingers when Whit read aloud from his late father's war journal. "You've seen this before," Whit said once, flipping a page. Names of creeks, symbols carved on trees. The man's eyes flicked up. "That's not a creek, it's a warning." Whit blinked. "What?" Eda leaned forward. "What kind of warning?" He didn't reply. That evening, Eda found her hunting knife missing. No broken lock, no forced drawer, just gone. She walked to the barn. He sat in the same spot, breathing steady. The knife was tucked beside him, cleaned. You planning something? Not unless you are. Her hand hovered near her hip. He gestured with 2 fingers. You live here long? Long enough? He nodded. This land changes hands often? She didn't like the way he said it. You the curious type? She asked. No, he said. I'm the hunted kind. He looked out toward the dying. Son, they'll come by dawn. She didn't ask who. Back at the house, Whit had packed a bag without being told. One for him, one for her, a single rifle between them. We running? He asked. No. Then why pack? In case you have to. He didn't argue. He was a Grant after all. Etta didn't sleep. She sat by the fire, boots on, eyes open. When the clock hit 4, she rose and stepped outside. The barn door hung open. No sound. No wind, just a smell of pine sap and old ash. She found him half standing near the fence line, staring into the dark. They were friends once, he said. Now they follow the old ways. The war's over, but no one told them. Etta raised the rifle. What do they want? Everything. And what did you take? He turned. Their faith. She stared at him for a long time. Don't die here, she said coldly. I don't plan to. Don't make me bury another man who brought war to my door. He nodded once, then walked back to the barn like he'd done it before. When the sun cracked the sky open, Whit was on the roof with the spyglass. He whispered low through the boards, "Ma." She joined him. On the distant ridge they stood, 7 shapes, tall, still, silent. Each wore a pinewood crest on their chest. Char and bone tied to their belts, axes, rifles, skins. One held a banner of stitched leather, a symbol burned into it. Whit spoke, voice low. That's the same symbol from Pa's journal. Etta didn't flinch. Below, the man in the barn was humming something soft, a war song or a funeral one. She couldn't tell which. Etta sat at the kitchen table with her sleeves rolled to her elbows, slicing strips of jerky with slow, deliberate strokes. The dull blade met no resistance, yet her knuckles whitened around the handle. Whit leaned against the doorframe, eyes fixed on the barn through the dirty window. He ain't moved much, Whit muttered. Might be dead. Etta didn't look up. Then the crows'll tell us soon. A gust of wind pushed dust through the cracks in the wall. She paused, listened. Footsteps, faint and deliberate, circled the far side of the house. Not Ridge, too steady. She rose, took the rifle from the wall. Whit reached for the second. She shook her head. Stay. Whit frowned but obeyed. She stepped outside. The ground was dry, but the footprints were clear. A half-loop, wide arcs, just enough to say, "We're watching." No noise, no broken branches. Whoever it was, they didn't come to take. Not yet. She followed the tracks halfway to the creek before they vanished, swallowed into pine needles and silence. When she returned, Ridge was sitting upright on the barn floor, arms resting on his knees. Blood had seeped through his side bandage again. He didn't flinch when she entered. "You've been awake," she said. "Long enough." "You saw them?" "Didn't need to. I felt them." She didn't ask what that meant. Just stood there, letting the stillness thicken. "They sent scouts," Ridge said. "Always do first. They're waiting." "For what?" "For me to be dead, or you to be scared." Etta crossed her arms. "You led them?" "I left them. Not the same thing. Don't play at differences. You brought danger here." "No," he said, looking up. "Danger lives here, always has. I just reminded it how to knock." She lowered the rifle, but only slightly. "You don't wear lumberjack hands," she said. "Too smooth, too careful." "I used to carve signals, not trees. You one of theirs?" "I was. Why'd you leave?" He held her stare, then nodded toward the door. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me." He took a breath, slow and shallow. We were never meant to stay, meant to burn and vanish. But some of us wanted more: homes, soil, names. They called it weakness. And I called it peace. She let that sit between them. Later, at dusk, Whit came running from the edge of the pasture, holding something tight in his hand. "Ma," he panted. "They took the traps. Everyone." She knelt. In his palm, a copper token rested, etched, with triangles around a center eye, burned into the metal. "They didn't steal," she muttered. "They're marking. They left this in Pa's tree," Whit added. Edda turned sharply. "What tree?" He pointed. "The one he carved his initials in." That tree had stood untouched since the funeral. She hadn't let Whit near it. Now it bore the token of war. Inside the house, she took down a small iron box from behind the pantry wall. Inside were her husband's things: a ledger, a cloth, bag, a faded map with inked warnings. She unfolded it. The symbol on the token matched a drawing near the timberlands. Circle of crows. A camp. A warning. Ridge sat on the porch now, blanket over his shoulders. "Your circle of crows," she said. He nodded. "I buried a man because of your kind." He didn't answer. She dropped the token in his lap. "They marked my land." He looked at it, ran a thumb along the edge. "Then it started. You didn't come here by accident. No. What were you hoping for?" He looked to the hills. "A place to bleed without being chased. You should have picked another fence to die behind." He chuckled, then winced. "Didn't think I'd get water. Didn't think I'd still be alive." "You're not. Not really." She stepped away, left him to the cold. Whit couldn't sleep. He sat on the floor near the fireplace, arms around his knees. Edda drank her tea slowly, watching the flames dance. "He knows something," Whit said. "He knows too much. Think he'll leave?" "No." "Think they'll kill us?" She didn't answer. That night, another token appeared. This time, nailed to their gate. Fresh blood stained the wood, smeared in handprints. Not violent, just a message. "We are here. We see you." Ridge didn't bother hiding. He stood near the barn door, one hand on the wall to stay upright. "They won't come full force yet," he said. "They like fear to do half the work." "How many?" Edda asked. 10, maybe more." "All armed?" He nodded. "You led 10 men. I led more once, before I buried too many. You think I should run? I think you already want to. I think you want me to trust you. I don't want anything. I just don't want to see your boy die for a kindness." Edda stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "You don't get to talk about my boy." He bowed his head. "Then let me talk about their leader. I thought that was you." "Not anymore." "Who then?" "She's worse." Edda froze. She doesn't forget. She keeps things, voices, scars, every face, every hand that turned away. "What's her name?" He exhaled. "Call her Hollow. She'll kill for you. She'll kill because of me. And you brought her here. I tried to lose her." "Well," Edda said, voice steady, "you failed." She turned away. Ridge didn't follow. In the morning they found the horses gone. Not a trace, just one hoofprint filled with crushed pine ash. A deliberate pattern. Whit stared at the empty corral. "What do we do now?" Edda scanned the horizon. "We wait." "For what?" "For them to stop whispering." She tightened the saddle straps on the last mule, loaded a satchel of cartridges, cleaned her rifle again. Whit asked, "You believe he's telling the truth?" "I believe liars flinch. He hasn't." "You gonna let him stay?" "I haven't decided, but we might need him." Edda met her son's eyes. "That's what scares me." That afternoon, smoke rose on the ridge, thin and black. A column unnatural in shape, spiraling like a snake. Ridge stepped beside her on the porch. It's the signal, I figured. They'll come at dawn. Why dawn? Because that's when we're weakest. She studied the smoke. We ain't? Ridge nodded once, slow and hollow. She let him stay outside. Whit locked the barn door without being told, and the sky turned a color she'd never seen before. Not quite fire, not quite rust, just something waiting to bleed. Ridge stood barefoot in the dirt, staring out across the land like he was remembering it differently than she ever could. His chest rose unevenly. Edda didn't hand him the canteen. She placed it on the ground between them and walked away. Whit sat on the cabin steps, whittling bark from a branch, not asking the questions he wanted to. The wind carried smoke again, faint but certain. She didn't comment. Ridge didn't need to say what she already knew. You kept that cross in your barn, Ridge said after a long pause. The one carved from cedar. She didn't stop tightening. A saddle on the mule. Belonged to my husband. He was military, volunteer militia. They sent boys with borrowed rifles to guard timber lines. He didn't come back. I remember, Ridge said quietly. That made her look up. The sun glinted off the sweat on her brow, and for a moment her hand hovered near her hip again. Was it still Root? Ridge continued. Tried to talk them down, didn't fire a shot. That's the kind that dies first. You were there? I didn't raise my gun either. Then what did you do? I walked away. That's not the part I'm remembering, she said. I didn't say it was a proud memory. She turned back to the mule. Her knuckles whitened as she pulled the strap tight. Whit watched from the side, eyes flicking between them. Why'd you leave your people? Ridge didn't answer. The silence dragged. The boy looked down, scraping curls from the stick. I found a burned farmhouse, Ridge said finally. Not much left. Just a pot hanging from a chain and a baby shoe in the dirt. My men laughed when they saw it. I couldn't laugh. You were their leader, Edda said. For a time. But a pack only follows until it smells weakness. She tossed him a roll of bandage. You plan on fighting them? If I don't, they'll leave no one behind. Whit stood, walked toward Ridge slowly. You said the woman leading them, Hollow, was worse than you. She was part of the first crew. Quiet, smart. She learned how to make people afraid without lifting a finger. The others started calling her Hollow because she never cried. Not once. Did you ever stop her? Whit asked. I tried once, Ridge replied. She broke 3 of my fingers and kissed me after. Edda loaded the final shells into her rifle. You're good with words. I was better with people. Before they stopped being people. The sky cracked open with the sound of a hawk's cry, high and ragged. Edda didn't look up. She picked up the cloth satchel and turned toward the barn. You know what's funny? Ridge said. You never asked me my name. Didn't matter. Still doesn't. She stopped, turned. You want a clean slate, you don't start with a name. You start with a reason to be forgiven. He didn't reply. Inside, Whit sat at the window with the spyglass again. The ridge across from the property line was no longer empty. 6 figures now, all standing, none moving. One held a long pike. Its end was carved in a spiral pattern, bone-white and notched with teeth. It pointed down toward the cabin. A message. Whit whispered, That's her, Hollow. Edda crouched beside him. How do you know? She's the only one not holding anything. No gun, no blade, just looking. Edda raised the glass. Her eyes narrowed. Hollow wore no hat, no coat, just loose canvas, dyed in charcoal. Around her neck hung something gold. A war medal. Edda lowered the glass, jaw tight. That was your father's, she said. Whit didn't answer. That night, no one slept. Edda didn't light the lanterns. Ridge stayed by the barn door, knife in hand, eyes closed like he was praying. Whit sat cross-legged on the floor, cradling the old hunting rifle his father had used. By midnight, drums began. Slow, distant, not tribal, not warlike. A rhythm to wear down nerves, not bodies. By 2, the mules began to panic. Edda calmed them, whispering in a language only the old farmers used. Whit watched from the loft, gripped tight on the rope ladder, heart pounding like it might give him away. Ridge came in just before 4, blood on his palm. "I tried talking," he said. "They sent a dog with a broken jaw as an answer." Edda didn't blink. "You should leave. You'll die," Ridge warned. "I buried one husband," she said. "I can manage another man's bones." Whit spoke up, voice shaky. "Can we trust you?" "I don't know," Ridge answered. They watched the sky turn grey. The ridge had more figures now, maybe 12. Hollow stood closer, still no weapon. Sunrise, a rider approached alone. No markings, no symbols, just a brown horse and dust in his wake. Edda met him 50 yards from the porch. He removed his hat. Long scar across his neck. One eye dead white. "Name's Chalk," he said. "Hollow says you're harboring a traitor. I'm harboring my land. She wants Ridge. I want peace. You can't have both." Edda glanced toward the barn. "Then tell her she can dig for him." Chalk sniffed. "Spit. She'll burn the house. She'll have to stand close to do it." He nodded and turned. That was the last courtesy. By mid-morning, they'd circled the ranch. No movement. No call. Just silence. Like death, waiting for. "It's Q." Whit sat by the door, arms shaking. "Ma, if I die, you won't. But if I do, you won't." Ridge stood inside the barn with the knife and a pistol that barely fired. "I can call her out," he offered. "Give you a chance." Edda looked at him for a long moment. "You think she wants you dead?" "I think she wants me to beg first." "You planning to?" "No." "Then ride out when the drums stop, alone, straight line. If she follows, we know her terms. If she shoots, then we shoot back." Ridge took a breath. "You'll need more bullets." "We've got enough." He climbed onto the old mule and rode slow, head high, no weapons drawn. The sun hit his back as he crossed the field. Hollow stepped forward, and everything stopped. The wind pressed flat against the house. Every creak in the boards, every brush of dust, felt like it might carry a bullet. Whit kept his eye on the edge of the window, not blinking. Edda didn't speak. She watched the field where Ridge had vanished, her breath thin and slow, like a snake about to strike. He didn't ride fast. Ridge moved with the calm of a man already counted among the dead. The mule's hooves barely lifted dust. When he stopped halfway across the pasture, Hollow stepped forward. No signal, no weapon, just 2 figures standing in an open field, the past laid bare between them. Whit whispered, "She's not killing him." Edda didn't respond. Ridge dismounted, let the reins drop. He raised one hand, slow and empty. Hollow didn't move. Then she stepped closer. Her face came clear in the sun, young, unscarred, and cold as polished stone. Her lips didn't move, but her hand lifted, one finger pointing back toward the barn. Ridge shook his head. Whatever he said next, Edda couldn't hear. But Hollow's expression shifted. Her hand dropped, her back straightened. She turned away. Ridge knelt, picked something from the dirt, a shard of metal, a scrap of cloth. Then she raised her arm. Not at Ridge, toward the house. The field came alive. Shadows poured from the tree line, silent and fast. 6, maybe more. Some had rifles. Others carried axes wrapped in hides. They moved low and coordinated, trained. Edda didn't shout. She didn't panic. She moved. Whit. East fence line. If they flank, fire low. He nodded, ran without question. She took her position near the porch, eyes set on the barn's blind side. 2 figures broke off and circled fast, just as she'd expected. She fired once, dropped one clean through the shoulder. The second went to ground, scrambled for cover. Witt's rifle cracked from behind the stable. A scream followed. Ridge turned as the shots rang out. Hollow was gone. He reached for the mule, but it had bolted. The barn door blew open with a slam. One of them had circled in. Edda ducked low, rolled, pulled the second revolver from her boot and fired upward. The attacker tumbled from the loft, blood blooming at his side. Witt reappeared, panting, cheeks streaked with ash. Two more behind. The hay racks. Edda nodded. Drive them through the smoke, I'll cut them down. He didn't hesitate. She moved around the side, careful steps, breath shallow. A shape leapt from the shadows, blade flashing. She ducked, used his momentum, drove the butt of the revolver into his throat. He hit the ground, wheezing. She didn't. Check if he got back up. A figure ran across the field, Ridge, bleeding from the shoulder, dragging something wrapped in canvas. He reached the porch, collapsed, tossed it forward. A rifle, not theirs, it's hers, he gasped. She left it for me. Sentiment? Edda asked, taking it. Invitation. From the tree line, a new sound rose. Whistles. The attackers pulled back, swift and efficient. No more shouting, no more blood. Edda lowered the rifle. Ridge sat upright against the porch rail, his face pale. She's regrouping, he muttered. She doesn't have to win. Just survive long enough to make us break. She'll try another way. Then let her. They waited in silence. Witt tended the wounded one Edda had knocked cold. She didn't ask why. He didn't explain. At dusk, Hollow came alone. No army, no noise. She walked to the center of the field and sat down. Edda watched her through the scope of the long rifle. Ridge sat beside her. You think she'll parley? Edda asked. No. Then what's she doing? Letting us know she still can. Edda raised the rifle, finger brushing the trigger. She's holding your husband's medal. Ridge said, I know, she didn't earn it. I know that too. She's waiting for me. Then go to her. Ridge didn't flinch. He stood slow, left the knife behind. Witt stepped forward. You sure? No. Then don't go. She won't stop otherwise. She might not stop even then. I know. He walked without armor, without gun. Hollow rose when he approached. They didn't speak. She looked at his side where the blood had dried. He looked at her hands, stained with ash. She reached into her coat, pulled the medal from her belt, held it out. Ridge didn't take it. Instead, he knelt, whispered something. She didn't reply. Then, without warning, she drew her knife. Witt moved. Edda grabbed his arm. Wait. Ridge didn't block the blade. He let her cut, a shallow mark across his chest. He stood, bled, didn't speak. She took a step back, dropped the medal, walked away. The shadows melted from the trees again. But this time, they didn't charge. They followed her, slow and silent. Witter stared. She let him live. No, Edda said. She marked him. Ridge walked back, slower now. The blood ran down his side, soaking into his waistband. He reached the porch, leaned on the rail, looked out across the dying light. She won't come back, he said. For now, Edda replied. Witt stepped up. Why'd she let you walk? She already won. You'll never forget her. Edda nodded. Neither will you. They buried the one who died in the skirmish. Ridge helped dig. No words, just dirt and hands and sweat. That night they ate in silence. No toasts, no prayers. Witt asked, what happens now? Edda looked out into the dark. We watch. We wait. Ridge stood. I'll leave by morning. No, Edda said. He turned, startled. You'll stay, she added, for a time. He nodded once, said nothing. She walked to the door, looked back once. You're not forgiven, she said. I know. But you're not gone either. Ridge sat down, rested his head in his hands. For the first time, no one reached for a weapon.